Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
As a listener of our show, we've partnered up with Beer 52 to give you, the listener, a free case of craft beers. Just go to beer52.com/believe to claim your free case. Beer 52 is the world's most popular monthly craft beer discovery club, searching out incredible and exclusive small batch craft beers from the world's greatest breweries and bringing them back for their members. So, with the weather heating up, cool yourself down with the refreshing Club Mexicana Pale Ale and Radio Alice's New England DDH IPA in this month's Beer 52 case. Perfect for weekends barbecuing. Like darker beers? Get yourself the mixed case. Like lighter beers? Get the light case. It's very, very simple. Try your first case for free. Just pay £5.95 postage. That's 8 incredible craft beers, Ferment magazine, and a snack delivered within the next day. It's a no-brainer. There's no minimum commitment. You can just take the free case, try the beers, see what you think. If it's not for you, you can cancel, pause, whatever you want to do. Get rid of it anytime. So once again, go to beer52.com/believe. Claim your free case of beer today. Beer52.com/believe. £5.95. Pay the postage. Get the beers. Get pissed. Enjoy the show. Right. Let's start the show.
Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
And new undisputed UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael the Count Bisping.
This is Believe You Me on the Gas Digital Network.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Believe You Me with myself and Luis J. Gomez. I am in South Africa, Cape Town still. Going to be here for another couple of weeks. So apologies for the irregularity of the episodes. But as always, we got you back. But Luis, how you doing over there in New York, my friend?
Very good, man. We're here in the old school Gas Digital Studios at Ralph's apartment. Also, apologies. It is audio only. I know some of the fans, they love looking at our faces. And I got no problem. Like the fact that, we have, fans of ours that just want to stare deeply into our eyes as we make these incredible points. They do get very upset sometimes, but we do apologize right off the bat. Audio only, as obviously going internationally and doing these shows, it does create some issues with doing a long stream. But I'm very excited to do the show, Mike. Missed each other yesterday. You've been having quite the trip. For some reason, every time you go somewhere, it's almost guaranteed you will either have an issue at the airport or you will almost be murdered by locals.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, definitely the issues at the airport, and I will reiterate this one more time, have been no fault of my own. And the issue that I had getting here from Brazil, I will talk about that in a couple of weeks. Okay, suffice to say, when I am out of South Africa, I will talk about it then. Okay, I'm not going into details right now. But, it is a shame that we are audio only because I am out here filming the TV show Warrior. Very excited about this. It's a great show. And the reason I'm disappointed it's audio only is because I'm in the shape of my life, doggy. At 40 years old, I'm looking good. I am dieting like a madman because I'm going to be jumping around doing fight scenes almost naked. So, yes, vanity is a powerful motivator, my friend, and I'm dieting like a madman, as I said. So if we were doing video, you would be mesmerized by my physique right now.
Would I? Well, you know what? Theater of the mind. What are you wearing? Let them know. Paint a little picture for the fans right now.
Oh my God, geez, Louise. Well, I'm sat here. I'm naked. Well, I'm not naked. I've got some nice little Y fronts on. They're possibly a little bit too tight, and I have a nice little vest on. But I'm thinking of you, Louis. I'm thinking of you. In fact, I'm talking to you. But let me tell you this. So last week we spoke about the fact I'm here in Cape Town, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's a beautiful place. It's great. It's amazing. You got to visit it. There's so much to do," and that is correct. It is beautiful by day. At night, the freaks come out, and it is a very, very dangerous place, Lewis. Have you heard about any of the stories out here? What is your impression of Cape Town, South Africa?
I mean, we did talk about it a little bit last week. I just imagine that there's lots of, wildlife. I imagine there being some sort of, tribes that are, honestly, they're not used to seeing the white man. So I'm assuming, yeah, dude, probably maybe a blow dart with poison on the end. Maybe some dodging some sort of spears. But it's not. Nobody's pretending that Africa is a safe place.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was speaking to some locals that actually, they're working here on the stunt team. And they said once you get out of here and you travel around actual Africa, it's actually very, very safe, which is not what I heard. But out here, for one, there's these townships. And basically what happens is if anybody owns land, if you leave it for 24 hours, the locals, the poor people, whatever you want to call them, the homeless, they can build shacks, okay? And if you look around, there's pieces of corrugated iron and steel, and they just build these little shacks. And then you drive along, and there's miles upon miles of them, and it's crazy. They actually build these huge cities of shacks, and there's one here. It's like 30 miles long, and if, as I said, 24 hours, if they build, then you're fucked. There's nothing you can do to get rid of them. But anyway, it is kind of an eye-opening place. But as I say, during the day, it's very beautiful. The people are very, very nice, very friendly. At night, different story. It's very, very dangerous. And I'll tell you, people talk about this, but I experienced it firsthand, okay? Now, Friday night, as you know, Lewis, I don't drink anymore. But Friday night, we were invited out for drinks. And I thought, well, I have to. There's a camaraderie building between the cast and whatnot.
Of course.
And the stunt team and the choreographer. So we go out for a Chinese meal.
And you don't want to be rude.
No, exactly. I don't want to be a prude. So we go out for a Chinese meal. Don't like Chinese, but whatever. Again, I'll suck it up for the team, Lewis. And we end up having a few drinks. And I get back. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, okay? And the Uber driver drops me off at a 4-way cross street, not by my hotel. And he says, your hotel's over there. So I get out the car, and the Uber driver drives off, and I don't know which way to go, okay? So I pick one of the 4 ways. I walk down the street. I'm walking for a couple of minutes. I'm thinking, this ain't right. So I turn around, I walk back to the crossroads again. I pick another one of the 4 because they all kind of look the same. I go down that street. I'm walking down there for a couple of minutes. I come back. I try another street. It's not that one. All the while, I may have been stumbling ever so slightly and staring at my phone, which is a giveaway. I'm on the maps.
I have a question. To be honest, because you quit drinking, probably 2 drinks is hitting you really hard because you're drinking so often at this point that you've probably turned yourself into a lightweight.
Yeah, absolutely, Lewis. I didn't ingest much alcohol at all, but it certainly went to my head. Or perhaps it was the good times. I was high on life. But I'm stumbling around a little bit. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, the freaks came out. The thieves came out. The muggers. The nasty fucking criminal bastards that people talk about here at Cape Town. And before I knew it, I was surrounded by, I would say, 10 to 15 homeless people begging for money, and then they started getting kind of nasty. At first, they were begging for money, and then they're going, he doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't know. Look at him. And then they taught this language, so that they're all conversing in their language. But they're going, look at him. He doesn't know where he's going. And I'm like, fuck off. Get back. And they're going, give me money now. Give me your wallet and all this. And I'm like, hold on a minute. This is going to go south. So I start raising my voice. Like, stay the fuck back. Stay back.
No, hold on.
And then,
really, really quick. Just because I'm trying to paint a picture. This is late at night. Okay. Now there's 10 to 15 people surrounding you. Is it one person that's being the aggressor or multiple people starting to get aggressive with you?
Oh, dude. There's not a single person around, right? It's like a ghost town. And apparently everybody says not to go out at night in the area where my hotel is. Incidentally, they're talking about moving my hotel now. But no, there's many of them. And they're all being aggressive. And they're all staying just far enough away. You know what I mean? Where they're not touching me. But I'm like, at this point now, because my defenses are up, I'm trying to be as big, just like, a lion in the jungle puffs out its mane, or a peacock flashes its feathers to attract. I'm puffing out my chest, and I'm trying to look as scary as fucking possible, so that these motherfuckers don't make a move. Anyway, they're insistent, and they're insisting that they're basically trying to mug me. They're trying to force me to give them their money.
But they're doing it in a way where they're asking you for money, like they're homeless, like they're begging. But now it's just getting aggressive. They're not actually trying to mug you at this point.
They're saying, give me your wallet now. If you want to go home, give me your wallet. Give me your phone. Okay? Listen, Call it broken English, but in my mind, that's a little step too far. That's robbery. And not strong-arm robbery that Conor McGregor was arrested for. I think this is good old-fashioned robbery. Anyway, so then all of a sudden, then it gets even worse. Because right now, you're probably like, this motherfucker's overreacting here. There's some hungry bastards. No.
Yeah, you're racist.
Trust me, Lewis. Yeah, well, whatever. They were hungry, and they were dangerous. Trust me, I could see the look in their eye. And then all of a sudden, like an old burnt out fake cop car. It was like a security car. It was white with blue stripes on, but it was a beat up piece of shit. Mounts the pavement right in front of me, and two fucking guys jump out looking wasted, more wasted than me, very glossy eyes. And they start screaming, get in the car, get in the car. And they're going, yeah, he doesn't know where he's going and all this. I'm like, what the fuck? And then one of them with his hand in his pocket is pretending that he's got a gun. He's going, get in the car now, get in the car. And I'm thinking, holy fuck. If I get in this car, I'm a dead man. I'm a dead man, simple as that, because they're going to kill me or whatever and rob me and leave me for dead. So I was like, again, I was screaming because I thought if it's a real gun, they would pull it out. They would show it. They wouldn't have their fingers pointed through the fucking tracky top. You know what I'm saying? You'd be able to see the gun. And then as I'm backing up, there was a little opening and boom, I just fucking ran. And they didn't really chase much. I ran down the street, and then lo and behold, there was my fucking hotel. And I sprinted in, and the glass doors slid open. I walked in, and I'm like, you motherfuckers, don't ever tell me that this town is not dangerous. And they're like, oh, what happened? What happened? I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. I just went up to bed and fell asleep. But yeah, man, I shit my pants.
I mean, this is pretty funny. I want to just, I wish we could have a video of watching you run away from homeless people who were just hungry and looking for a handout. The way you describe this story, I'm telling you right now, there was definitely some sort of miscommunication. It was a bunch of people that they probably knew who you were. They were probably fans of yours, and you just couldn't even just give them a little bit of that cash. How much money are you making on this trip doing this TV show? I don't want to know. I mean, it's none of my business, but Jesus Christ, Mr. Bisping, you're supposed to be a man of the people.
So how do you explain the people in the unmarked cop car, in the fake police car?
They were cops.
Pretending to have a gun with fucking a glazed, cracked out look in their eyes, screaming, get in the fucking car now or you die. How do you explain that?
They were trying to protect you, and you're fucking highfalutin Mr. L.A. Hollywood Bisping. Even the cops you look down on. Do you have the shame bell? Do we have a bell? Can we give Mr. Bisping a shame bell?
Listen. So I come in, and like today and yesterday, I'm talking to the stunts team saying, fuck me, man. Friday night, I had a bad do. And one of the guys there, he used to be a cop here in Cape Town. And he's like, oh, yes, mate, it's very dangerous around here at night. You got to be very careful, very vigilant. And he said what they did to you is what they do to everybody. He said they surround them, and then when you're dealing with somebody in front of you, a little sneaky bastard runs up behind you, 3 times, stabs you in your liver, and you fall down dead. They rob you and run off. He said it happens all the time. And then the guy that I was doing a fight scene with today, he was like, yeah, I live in the ghetto, man. I dodge bullets and see people die almost every fucking day. And I'm not exaggerating. Yeah. If anyone's that's been to Cape Town and had a glorious experience, but you weren't wandering around the fucking parts that I were walking around pissed up on Friday night. So go fuck yourself.
I feel like at this point they could probably just do anything they want to your liver and it won't affect you.
What? 3 blades? Jesus Christ. My liver is hardened, my friend, but it cannot take that. So anyway, so there you go. So never a dull moment in my life. What's going on with you, Lewis? We had some big fights at the weekend.
We do. I mean, well, before you move on, before you move on, I just want to give my perspective on that, because I think about this. How would you react if you're with your kid? Because Kim was with my son. And she had a homeless guy in Harlem start following her and start talking shit to her. And then she called me up afterwards to tell me this, but my son didn't even realize what was going on. But then they got to the corner and she was like, James, I'll race you home. And then they started running, but the guy was limping behind them, kind of chasing them. So that's the thing that's one of the scariest things in the world to me is myself, you can sort of protect yourself. You get into these fucking things, but then the moment you put your kid there, making the wrong decision, the stakes are so fucking high. So have you ever dealt with anything like that with your kids, like being there? I know you got robbed when you guys were in Hawaii, but that wasn't like in person. They just broke into your shit.
Yeah. No, first of all, Kim shouldn't have been scared. The guy was limping, okay? The poor guy. You know, she could have outran him in a heartbeat. And you're talking about me judging people wanting food. The poor guy's homeless with a bad limp. Shame on Kim. Shame on you. But here's a little point of the story that I forgot to tell you, Lewis. And of course, if I was with my family, I wouldn't have cared for my safety. I would have only cared for theirs. But I was by myself. And I did care for my safety, you know, and I don't mind admitting that it was a scary moment. It really fucking was. And everyone can pretend that there'd be a hard ass and a tough guy and macho and not scared. But when you're in that situation, I was pretty terrified, Lewis. And this went on for a while. And at one point, I didn't know what to do and I didn't know who to call. Do you know what I mean? And I honestly thought, fuck, I'm going to die here. You know, I'm going to get stabbed, shot, something. And I called Rebecca because I thought, maybe I'll just fucking say bye because in case I die. And then as it started ringing, then I hung up because I thought, how out of line am I to worry her like that? Hi, babe. Just a quick one. Hate to wake you up in the middle of the night, but think I'm going to die now. So I just wanted to say, love you. Good luck with the kids. So I hung up, but then I was trying to deal with it and she kept trying to call back. I'm like, fuck's sake, fuck off. I'm kind of in the middle of something here. But obviously, poor woman, she had no idea.
Well, that's fucked up because not only that, let's say she answers. Now she has to listen to you be murdered by African men. I mean, what a horrible experience for her. Just let her live her life. She's got to listen to the sounds of you screaming for help as you're surrounded by a bunch of South Africans. Not good.
Well, yeah, but listen, Lewis, I'm here for my family, okay? And if I die trying to support my family, then, you know, they get to suffer with me. And then, in just a little way, they get to hear it, they get to cry themselves to sleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that's fucked. So yeah, look, the fights. I ended up watching the main event after the fact. I was working all weekend at Caroline's with Big J Okerson, my brother.
Hold on, stop. Before, and I know we're trying to not digitize, but I had to interrupt you. Before we get into the regular MMA theme of the show, as most listeners probably know, we talk a little bit of shit at the start, and then we have a laugh with some stuff. Before we get into that, dude, we got to talk Game of Thrones.
Oh, we do. Oh, fuck Game of Thrones. Can we just say that? Is it okay now? We can just say fuck. I hate to be a troll. I hate the culture we live in because when we do a bad show or if we do a show where the audio's not great or it comes out late or whatever, we get a bunch of people on Reddit or YouTube or whatever that are saying, fuck Bisping, fuck Harrington, fuck Lewis. Can't believe these guys are, you know. And I go, come on, dude. You know, we're fucking working hard here. You know, what you guys. But then I become the same guy because this episode, I mean, I want everyone to be fired. I think a few people that were involved in this production should be killed. This was the worst ending to any series in the history of any television series. Tell me you agree with me on this, because if you like this, I'll stop doing the show with you right now. If you enjoyed the finale of Game of Thrones, this is the last believe you me because I don't respect you as an artist.
Well, first and foremost, I wish I didn't agree with you because the stress that we have trying to get this going just isn't worth it. But unfortunately, in this situation, I more than agree with you. Listen, there was a couple of good episodes this season, and there was some fantastic effects and some good drama and things like that. But it was rushed. It was lazy. I mean, for crying out loud, this is the biggest show in the world. They leave Starbucks cups in the shot. They leave plastic water bottles in the shot. I mean, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it was, I mean, the production to the writing to the story. I mean, dude, we could break it down a little bit here. When Cersei and Jaime, them dying the way they died, what a fucking lazy. They could have chosen anything. They could have chosen them dying in any way. My idea was Jaime shows up, they're hugging each other, they know they're gonna die anyway. He fucking strangles her with his bare hands as she looks at him, and then the rocks come and kill him afterwards. But her last thing that she ever sees is her brother, who she loves, killing her. That is the way she should have fucking ended. That's the ending for Cersei's fucking life, not bricks falling on her head.
No, for sure. And listen, once again, I apologize to the audience that doesn't like it, but this is a cultural phenomenon, and we're going to talk about it, okay? And if you haven't seen it by now, again, my apologies, because guess what? You should have fucking seen it, because by the time this comes out, it's the most highly anticipated episode of a TV show ever, okay? And if you haven't seen it, then you're a fucking idiot. So, you're absolutely right. That was pretty lazy. I mean, I get it in hindsight. The bricks falling down. All right, not a bad way to go. But as you say, in terms of the hype, the build-up throughout 8 seasons, pretty lazy. I mean, wouldn't it have been more epic if Arya Stark or Arya Stark, I've always forget the name, if she actually got to kill her? That's what she went there to do. So maybe they're in the room, they're banging it out one last time like a couple of incestuous fucks, and then she comes in with Needle, and kicks up a shitstorm. That would have been way better to watch for the viewer. Here's the problem, and there's so much other things. I mean, let's just talk about Daenerys Khaleesi. What a psycho bitch she was. I mean, she just literally destroys the entire city, blows it down with the dragon, which again, I mean, how powerful are these fucking dragons? Literally one breath of fresh of air, fire air, granted, can destroy castles and just rocks fall down. It's only fire. It's not a fucking nuclear bomb. But even still, she went off on a bit of a crazy one there. So I was kind of glad when she died. But Jon Snow should have killed her a while ago.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, it was just sort of lazy that was all done. The way that she allowed Jon Snow to just walk in and he was her number one threat, it was just so lazy. And then at the end of all of it, Jon Snow kills her. And then all of a sudden, whatever it is, weeks later, they have him captive. And they all know that Jon Snow stabbed her in the heart. How would they even know this? Unless Jon Snow was like, oh, just so you guys know, I actually stabbed her in the heart. For no fucking reason at all. For no reason at all. There's no reason. Yeah. No one's there. There's no fucking cameras. I would have said, oh my God, dude, the dragon came and grabbed her. It was fucked up. I was like, no, come back. And then they were gone.
Well, yeah, exactly, because they didn't even show Jon Snow getting arrested. It just cuts to the next scene, and we're all of a sudden to assume that weeks have passed, and he came clean in it, admitted it. You're right. He could have just said, fucking that dragon, man, whatever he's called, he went out of his mind. Khaleesi got on it. Maybe she feels bad, and she fucked off somewhere to another land. I don't think she's going to be back, guys. I actually believe she feels really bad about slaughtering millions of people. I don't think we're ever going to see her again. Anyway, she's fucked off. I'm the rightful heir to the throne, even if the dragon melted it. And, slap a crown on my head. Here's one person that I think that really enjoyed this last season is the author of the original books, George R.R. Martin. I think his name is. Because, well, this is the season that they did. If I'm not mistaken, I think I'm right. That he didn't write this season. He didn't have time, so they had to move on ahead without it. Now, remember, they had 2 years to think about all this stuff, and it was still completely rushed. Some of the things that we're talking about here, and the episode where it was super dark. I mean, it was underwhelming. Don't get me wrong. I did enjoy it, of course. But, the ending for me was annoying. Jon Snow goes up to the wall. What the fuck? And then walks forward with the wildlings into the abyss. I mean, come on. That was pretty lame. Yeah.
Even it was so dumb when, Tyrion walks out as the prisoner. And he's like, well, and then the fucking Grey Worm, he's like, no, you may not speak, slave. You are prisoner. And then Tyrion goes, all right, but really, I think that Bran should be the king. And everyone's like, yeah, for no reason. There's nothing made any sense. And the problem was, and I said this on another show, but I think this is the truth, okay? Because the end was there. It's like when a relationship's about to end, it's going to end. There's no reason to create these special moments. There's no motivation. There's no reason to sort of there was always this bigger picture on the horizon. And I think that they literally said, this is it. We're never being paid from this again. Let's just fucking phone it in. Summer's coming. Let's go party. And it's just disappointing when you're a fan of something that's that great and they made it so good. They set the bar so high for television that it ends on such a low point. And this has happened before. I think people had a problem with the Dexter ending. That was another big one, right? What were some other endings of TV shows that sort of sucked? Yeah,
I'm not sure. Well, people say that the ending of Sopranos sucked, which it definitely didn't suck. That was an awesome finishing. Very, very smart and very well done, in my opinion, because it was from Tony Soprano's perspective. But back to Game of Thrones. Do you watch, are you an avid fan where you watch it on HBO, then you watch those two smug assholes? If you ever listen to this and you want to put me in the next episode of Game of Thrones, I take back everything I say, or the prequel, But those two guys that explain inside the episode, do you ever watch that?
I've never watched the after episode things. No. I mean, it's just essentially, it's literally a live podcast. They just started doing them on HBO after their big shows. That's all it is a post. What's it called? What's it used to do it after Walking Dead? Talking Dead is what sort of started that, but that was legitimately a podcast.
Yeah, but it's more than that. This isn't like Talking Dead. Two guys, the creators of the show, the showrunners, they sit there and they break down certain points. Now, throughout, when they started doing this, it was very, very beneficial because, it can be very complicated at times, and you watch that and it's very good. But these guys, they sit there, they're so smug and they're so great, and oh yeah, we thought this was really important for this bit and that bit. It's like, no, stop, shut the fuck up, you suck, you blew it, you absolutely blew it. And I feel like our opinion is the same the world over, because it aired in England last night, in South Africa they get a lot of British TV. And they had all the reaction of everybody. Everybody, once again, all underwhelmed. Listen, out of 10, yeah, I'd still score it very highly. It was still very well done. The scene where the dragon decimates the city, the despair, the people dying, I mean, that was done really well. You got to give it to them. It was done fantastic. But just some bits were rushed. So there you go. There's my piece on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, underwhelming. What are you most excited for next? Because there's nothing that's going to fill that hole. They're trying to push Watchmen on us, and I'm just not into these promos at all. You need something big and fantastical and bigger than life, you know?
Well, I mean, Watchmen, by the way, does look awesome. But one show that they were pimping out for a few episodes that I want to see, because the commercial, the trailer makes it look fantastic, but it could be depressing as hell, is that Chernobyl. Have you seen that, Chernobyl?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't seen the trailer for that? Looks
not
outstanding.
Even the trailer, no.
It does. It looks crazy, man. You got to watch that. But Chernobyl's all about the explosion at the nuclear reactor in Chernobyl, Russia, I think. And it could be great, or it could be it's just super depressing and watching loads of Russians die slowly, depending on how you feel. Some people might enjoy that, but not myself. But anyway.
There's nothing that I'm looking forward to now, though. There's literally nothing on television that I'm like, oh, I can't wait till that comes out. It's kind of disappointing. I've been waiting for so long. I remember when me and Kim got together, that's when Game of Thrones was on. We were like, I wonder if we'll be together when the last season happens. And now there's nothing else that I'm actually looking forward to coming back on.
Well, that is very sad, Lewis. And also what I feel is sadder that's how you live your life. I mean, one fantastic show finished. It's been 8 years they've given to us, maybe 9 years with the wait. And all you can do is sit there, criticize and go, oh, I've literally got nothing to look forward to in my life. Well, fortunately, Lewis, there's an abundance of mixed martial arts every single weekend. And that is what you call a flawless segue, my friend.
Michael Bisping said it best. I'll just say it this time. We don't have sound effects here today.
Michael Bisping said it best.
Whoa, we do. Fuck off. All right, really quick, guys. We know you love the show. You should know we have a brand new website. BelieveyouMePod.com. You can get all of the episodes there. You can sign up for the premium service. You can get all the latest video episodes there. Any updates, links to our sponsors. It has everything that you guys need. And you should also know that this brand new website was designed and built with Wix. Mike Harrington, our borderline mentally handicapped producer, actually put together the website. And if he can do it, I really mean this, anybody can do it. Bisping, you sort of clicking around, and I know you're thinking about building a website as well. How easy is it to use this website?
No, it's very, very easy. I mean, the fact that Harrington built ours, that says it all. But if you've got a business, you've got something you want to promote, if you just got something that you're into that you want to put online and you want a website, then Wix is the way to do it. In fact, if you haven't got a website in this day and age, honestly, you're nothing. Your business doesn't exist. So yeah, go to Wix and check it out. I mean, they have over 500 different templates. They have what they call the ADI, the Artificial Design Intelligence. You answer a few simple questions about what you do, and the ADI will create a stunning website for you. Very, very simple, very easy, very professional, and you can start building your website and publish it for free. So go to our website. A, because it's awesome. B, because you can buy merchandise. And C, because it has every episode on there. So go to BelieveyouMePod.com and click the link at the bottom. By doing that, it'll take you right to where you need to be to build your website, and it will give you 10% off any premium plan. So please build your free website. click the link at the bottom of BelieveYouMePod.com. You're going to get 10% off any premium plan. Okay, where were we?
Yeah, so fights over the weekend. What time? So right now you are 6 hours ahead of me. So yeah, this was crazy late in the morning. I'm assuming you ended up watching the replay. Your boy, Perillo, was involved in the main event. Obviously, RDA versus Kevin Lee. RDA wins a 4th round submission over Kevin Lee. Solid fight. Look, when you watch a replay of that fight, it wasn't like, I wasn't like, oh my God, blown away. But it was great. Look, RDA is a fucking great fighter. I'm really happy for Jason Perillo. I know we talked about possibly having Perillo on this show, and we couldn't make it happen because of the, the issues being, doing it over the way we're doing it. But what did you think overall of the fights, Mr. Bisping?
Yeah, well, the thing was, and I apologize again, I couldn't watch them, and I still haven't watched it. I've seen highlights, and I've read up reviews and play-by-play on how the fight went down. I've now installed a VPN on my computer, so the computer thinks I'm in America. I can watch whatever I want. That's how I watch Game of Thrones. But up until the disparity, the despair, the urgency to watch the final episode before it got spoiled, I got the VPN. But I didn't do it for the fight. My bad. But that said, first of all, well done, Rafael dos Anjos. I mean, there's a guy, geez Louise. I mean, talk about taking on all comers. I mean, he was the lightweight champ, goes up to welterweight, goes on a good run, beats Robbie Lawler, beats a couple of other good guys. Then he fights Colby Covington, who's fighting next for the belt, who was the interim champ as well. Then after that, he takes on Kamaru Usman, who is now the champion, who absolutely, I love Tyron. He's a great guy, but, he put a beat down on Tyron. It was kind of one-way traffic. Tyron definitely had a bad night at the office, not taking anything away from Kamaru. It was sensational. So to come off 2 losses to 2 incredibly tough guys like Colby and Kamaru, and then to go and take on a stud like Kevin Lee, I mean, that just shows the size of this guy's balls. The fighting spirit, the take on anywhere, anytime, anyway. It's incredible. It really is. And I wouldn't say concerned, because Rafael dos Anjos is as tough as they come. I see him in the gym. I've sparred with him. He's a hard worker. He's a legit black belt in BJJ. He's a great family man. He's got outstanding cardio, great striking. He's a great all-round fighter. And one thing, if we did have Jason Perillo on the phone, that he would tell you is that he is a real fighter. He puts him, without blowing smoke up my own ass, in the same category as me. He said, you don't meet many real fighters. He says that I'm one of them. He says that Dos Anjos is the same way. So it's no surprise he took on Kevin Lee. But, I wasn't sure how it was going to go down. Kevin Lee's really good. He's big. He's strong. He's got great wrestling. And he's super explosive and a good striker as well. Yeah. But fortunately, he passed the test in flying colors. As I say, I didn't see it, but I heard, what I read was that Lee went out there and put on a stupid pace to start the fight. Is that correct?
Wait, say that again? Sorry.
Yeah, no, that he put on a stupid pace and ended up getting tired in like rounds 3 or 4. But was the pace that you saw a blistering one, or was it, nothing outside of the ordinary?
I mean, I feel like it was, maybe I'm crazy. I didn't feel it was like crazy blistering. He did seem to gas a little bit, and that seemed to be the difference. But I think you sort of need to go that pace against RDA. And RDA, honestly, he's been out-wrestled in the last couple fights, so I thought that was sort of what he needed to do. He attempted 12 takedowns in the first 2 rounds. So, yeah, I mean, the goal was to obviously get him down. And I think maybe, if you understand mixed martial arts, when you're trying to take a guy down over and over and over again, that's going to take every single thing out of you. So I don't even know if it's a conditioning thing as much as it's so much you try to take somebody down 12 times. I don't know who's not going to be really spent after that.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's a valid point that you bring up. Trying to take somebody down in mixed martial arts is way harder than defending the takedown. And that is an absolute fact. I've heard some people say that it's 50-50, or even the guy trying to defend it, it's harder for them. Bullshit. When you're trying to take someone down, it is so much effort. And defending, you can kind of, you can lean back against the fence. You can use your body weight. You can get under hooks and hold them there. You can kind of stall a little bit. But trying to get those takedowns, and I know this from experience. I know it from doing drills in the wrestling room time and time and time again. Defending, being the guy defending is easy. Being the guy trying to take him down, whoo. So I'm not surprised he got tired. But that wasn't because I would say that he was out of shape, it's because Dos Anjos had incredible defense. Obviously been in there with Kamaru and Colby and other great wrestlers and fighters over the years. And he had the experience. Simple as that. And of course, as I said, he's a legit BJJ black belt. And he tried for a takedown. He failed it. Dos Anjos got on top. Boom. And it was an arm triangle, right, from what I read?
Yeah. Look, I think RDA is great. I think he is trying to set up something with Conor. He was talking shit about Conor's whiskey, so I guess that's the way to really get under Conor's skin is to start trashing an Irishman's whiskey, and that'll really do it.
Yeah, but I saw something about Dos Anjos tweeted, because I think I'm only basing this on what I saw of Dos Anjos' Twitter feed. Conor tweeted something about Dos Anjos saying that he broke his foot, and then Conor started talking shit. So then Dos Anjos came back and he was like, "Oh, I'm not surprised when you talk shit about a fellow fighter's injury," or something like that. Is that correct? Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it. I'm looking for it now.
Yeah.
Let's see. That broken foot is my working tool. Make fun as a fellow fighter shows the person you are. Before sleep, you want. Oh, he really is writing his own tweets. He needs a fucking intern.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
No, for sure. I love Dos Anjos. I will blow smoke all day long. But please stay off Twitter when you try to insult people, or just like get someone from the gym. Get the person in Starbucks to tweet it for you. Perillo, anybody, just say, here, talk some shit back for me, because he's just such a good guy as well. He really is. But let's remember that great line that Conor came out with, red panty night. That was when Dos Anjos and Conor were supposed to fight. So you never know. That might happen, although Justin Gaethje is out there trying to start a fight with Conor right now as well.
Who isn't?
Well, of course, who isn't? Rightly so. Donald Cerrone, he was trying it on as well, but he just had a fight booked. Who's he fighting again?
Cerrone, Tony. Oh, yeah, Tony. Yeah, that's right. Which is fucking... They used our podcast in the promo for Tony Ferguson versus Cerrone.
Well, the UFC are a $4.8 billion organization, Lewis. They know a quality product when they see one. All these people bitching about the audio on YouTube. Well, UFC felt very comfortable using our audio. It was good enough for a $4.8 billion company. Bitches.
Hell yeah. That was pretty cool, though. I had so many different people hitting me up. People from like high school being like, dude, I just heard your voice on a UFC promo. So that was pretty cool. I dug that. And, I don't often say things that make sense on the show, but I happened to take a shot in the dark that time. I don't even remember what we were talking about then.
Oh, nice. I haven't actually seen it yet. So it was both of us talking. Oh, that's great. Good news.
Yeah.
Good news. Well, that's fantastic. We're getting a bit of recognition. That's good to see. So Ferguson versus Donald Cerrone. That's an exciting fight. Donald Cerrone. We spoke about this a little bit last week after his fight in Ottawa. He's in the form of his life right now. He really is. Ferguson, of course, been away for a little bit, not too long, but he's changed management. I think he's got a new deal with the UFC, and he's on a hell of a win streak. Tony Ferguson is he's unorthodox, he's funky, but he's dangerous. He's got great condition. He's got a hell of a chin, although he can be easy to hit. Remember his fight with Lando Venata, for a prime example. He took a lot of shots in that one. And Cerrone, he's the same way. Cerrone's got no fear. He loves fighting, and he'll fight anybody. So that is a fantastic fight, and I can't wait to see it, Lewis.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And, look, Cerrone, no matter what, Cerrone's just one of those guys that you're going to get an exciting fight every single time, win, lose, or draw. And Cerrone seems to be on this upswing. I think it was on Reddit, somebody posted who is most likely to have them, their own Michael Bisping sort of moment in their career. It was a pretty interesting post. I'm trying to find it now, but and Cerrone seemed to be the guy that everyone was saying, like, yeah, dude, he's a guy who has just been through it all, been, some of the toughest losses ever. And now it looks like he might actually be on his way to a title shot. He beats Tony Ferguson. There's no questions asked. He beats Tony Ferguson. He deserves a 155-pound title shot. No questions asked.
Oh, yeah. If anybody beats Tony Ferguson, they deserve a title shot. Listen, lightweight's in a difficult spot right now. Khabib is suspended. We've got an interim champion, Dustin Poirier, so they have to fight. But it's a shame for Tony Ferguson. I understand the UFC's position. He was injured. He was out for a while, all that good stuff. But still, you've got to feel for Tony Ferguson. Generally, anybody else, and I forget how long it is, but it's like a 9, 10, possibly even 12-fight win streak. If you do that, you're the goddamn champion. Simple as that. But he's not. And he was the interim, and he was stripped, although he did hurt himself. So, as I say, you got to feel for the guy. You really, really do. And if he beats Ferguson, if he beats Cerrone, he should get the next shot. And if Ferguson, pardon me, I'm bloody mixing my words up. If Cerrone beats Ferguson, then yeah, of course, you beat that guy. If you beat the guy, you become the guy, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, of course. I'm really excited about that. There's some other bookings as well. Nate Diaz, we didn't talk about this. Nate Diaz booked against, Anthony Pettis. But what were you going to say, Artem? Oh, I thought you were jumping in. What do you think of that fight? Anthony Pettis on a little bit of an upswing as well. At 170, they're booked, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, but what is the last few fights of Anthony Pettis? Can you look that up? I know he just knocked out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Prior to that, I think he lost to our boy Ferguson. They were just talking about that. But what was his form before that? Sorry, I don't have a computer in front of me.
Here, I'll do that right now. Pettis. All right, so yeah, here we go. I'll pull up his entire record right now. So he's got the win over Stephen Thompson, lost to Tony Ferguson, a win over Chiesa, lost to Poirier, win over Jim Miller, lost to Max Holloway. I mean, all over the place with his weight. I mean, 145 to 170, and then win over Oliveira, then 3 losses in a row, his worst skid of his career, to Barboza, Eddie Alvarez, Rafael dos Anjos. So, I mean, very hot and cold. And it's very. I think Nate Diaz opened up as an underdog in this fight. It's an interesting fight. This is a really interesting fight, and when you see how hot and cold Anthony Pettis is, and then you see how long it's been since Nate Diaz has been in the octagon.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I mean, yeah. Listen, certainly you can't argue with the fact that Anthony Pettis has been hot and cold. That's a fact. He's won some, he's lost some, he lost a few, he won 1 or 2, he lost a few more. And he's gone up and down in weight divisions. Last fight, listen, he knocked out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. That's a great win for anybody. Knocking him out. Woodley couldn't finish him. Darren Till couldn't finish him. Lots and lots of people have fought Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and usually he wins. And if he does lose, he doesn't get knocked out. Now, Nate Diaz, this is an interesting situation because I don't know. I mean, when you look at Pettis, he's the better guy. He's the better striker. He's more skilled. He's more polished.
More athletic.
Yeah. I think this is a dangerous fight for Nate Diaz, especially coming back. He hasn't fought since Conor McGregor, right? 2016. That's 3 years ago. That's a long time. Now, he's a pentathlete or whatever he is, triathlons and all that type of stuff. That's all well and good, but that doesn't mean just because someone runs around a fucking track and swims a bunch, they can go in there and fight. Now, of course, he has the mentality, but still, and I say this with respect because I respect both Diaz brothers and what they've accomplished in this sport. Time away from the sport can change things. And 3 years is a lot of fucking time. And Pettis has still been in there the whole time, Lewis.
Yeah, that is very true. And whether you're winning or losing, Pettis is training for high-level fights. All of his fights. Pettis, he's a name at this point. He's such a big star that he never is put into an easy fight. He's never put into a fight with a guy that's not already well-known or highly ranked. So he's always competing for high-level fights, a lot of the time 5-round fights. And you've talked about this in the past. When you're actually training for a real fight and there's something on the line and you're trying to really legitimately win, it adds a completely other element of motivation. So when it's all said and done, though, I have a difficult time picking against Nate Diaz, and just in general, I have a difficult time picking against Nate Diaz. I think this is a great matchup. If you're going to look at what you want for Nate Diaz, it's another guy who's not really a 170-pounder. He's a 155-pounder, who is a really, really exciting, fun striker. Nate probably has an advantage on the ground. I don't know if it's going to get there. He doesn't have the wrestling to really take down Pettis if Pettis doesn't want it to go there. But I don't know. There's something about the Diaz brothers. They have this it factor where you think they're going to lose these striking matchups, and then they come out and they fucking outbox dudes, and you're like, what just happened there? Did Nate Diaz just knock out Anthony Pettis? Holy shit.
No, you're right. And listen, he definitely has the it factor. He brings it each and every time. There's a reason why people love the Diaz brothers. But one thing, going back to what you said, and talking again about the 3 years away, is that every time you do a training camp, and I'm talking from experience, every time you do a training camp as a human being and as a mixed martial artist, you learn a lot of things about yourself. And the more times you do it, you tweak it a little bit. You realize I overtrained in that one. Maybe I don't need to run as much. You realize the next one, my diet wasn't right. I was too weak. I wasn't taking on enough carbohydrates. And then the next training camp, you maybe learn, hold on a minute, I'm doing too much defensive jiu-jitsu. I don't need to do that. I need to be more offensive. And then the next training camp, so on and so forth. You learn about yourself. You learn about your ability to prepare for a fight. And you learn about your skills and what you need to work on. The whole time, Diaz has been away, living his good life, and good for him, and I'm really happy for him. Pettis has been in there fighting the best in the world, losing to a lot of them as well. And when you lose, that's when you truly learn about yourself. So he's been in there, he's been winning some, he's been losing some, but he's been doing it the whole time. So on paper, you've got to lean towards Anthony Pettis here. And I understand that Diaz is as tough as the fuck. What? Pardon me.
That's the name of the episode.
As tough as they come. But, as I say, for the reasons I just laid out, I got to lean towards Anthony Pettis.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm just a big Diaz fan. I would love to see them come back. We've talked about it time and time again about what a waste of talent I think it is for them to sit out for as long as they do. And I'd love to see Nick come back as well. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's a great fight. It's very exciting. There's no doubt about that. Both those guys are super exciting, and I'm a fan of both those guys. So, wasn't there one more big fight booking that we're missing, Harrington?
Well. Listen. I mean, nothing. No, when I say nothing, I mean nothing is bigger in this world than the press conference between the Russian Hammer, Artem Lobov, and Paulie Malignaggi, Lewis. I mean, come on, this is hot off the press.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it was fun. It was it's entertaining no matter what way you want to slice it. Yeah, Paulie Malignaggi comes off like a fucking whatever. I mean, he comes off a little bit like a meathead, but it was kind of fun to watch. You kind of want to watch these guys go into it. It seems passionate. My problem with Paulie Malignaggi is it doesn't seem legitimate. He doesn't seem like he actually hates Artem Lobov. He seems like he's just wanting to sort of walk the walk and sort of like, sound like a tough guy. But where does the hatred for Artem Lobov come from? Well.
First and foremost, I got to say this, and maybe you're right, Lewis, and you probably are. Maybe it's a little manufactured. Perhaps we can, I know it's audio only, but is it possible that at this point on the audio only on YouTube, we can insert an image of a fedora hat? I'm going to tell you this right now. You're not feeling poorly because of all the bullshit that he's saying, the things that he's doing. And don't get me started on spitting on him. Any motherfucker that shows up wearing a hat like that deserves to die. It's as simple as that. Jesus. I'm sorry. You look like an absolute tit, okay? He looks like a villain out of the Dick Tracy movie. You know what I mean? He might as well have had a pinstripe suit on, that big stupid gangster hat. Oh my God, he did not look good. I'm sorry. Maybe I don't get it. Maybe I'm not, Italian from Brooklyn or whatever the fuck you say, Paulie. Maybe that's their thing. But I'm telling you, you look like a twat. And any man that runs around, I don't care if you're at the beach. I don't care if you're whatever pastime you are taking part in. If you go out wearing a fedora, you are a cock. It's plain and simple.
What about like an old black man at church?
Pass. He gets it. He's allowed. He's okay. It's a cultural thing. It's an age thing. It's 2019. Okay? If you wear a pair of modern shoes, you don't get to wear a fedora. Okay? If you're turning up to a press conference wearing a fedora, oh God, Paulie Malignaggi, let me spit in your face. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he spit in his face, which, look, low blow.
Very.
Yeah. But look, it's making me excited to watch it. We are talking about, this is what they did, right? We can talk all the shit all we want. they did a good job because now the number one MMA podcast in the world, highlights used by actual UFC, ESPN promos, they actually have us speaking about this, and they're getting the press that they want on it. People right now are clicking on the YouTube video. They're hearing about his gay hat and the fact that he spit in his face and this, crazy press conference. They're going to go and watch that now. And in a weird way, bare knuckle boxing is, I have a little bit of respect for how they just sort of came out of nowhere and they're making some noise. They're making some noise in the fight world.
Well, let's not get into that. We've spoke about this before, but listen, you're right. They are attracting headlines. Artem Lobov, listen, he didn't do too well in the UFC, and I'm trying to be respectful. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not, but he struggled. That's a fact. And now, in a straight-up boxing match, he's going against a former world champion like Paulie Malignaggi. Now, he has been out for a while. So, let's see what version of Malinagi shows up. But this is very personal. And when it's this personal, you do push yourself in the training room, and you give it your all. So it's an interesting fight. I mean, listen, on paper, you got to think Malinagi's going to run right through him. But going back to what you said, You're right. I mean, it's funny because a lot of people talk about how in mixed martial arts, they want to move away from the entertainment factor. And they're saying, oh, it's great. Now that Conor's not around so much, we're moving away from that. And now it's becoming more about the sport and more about respect and all the rest of it. But scandal and behavior like that, it sells. It's as simple as that. Now, maybe in its purest form, it would be nice if people went up and they shook their hand and they bow and they fight their hearts out and then they hug each other and embrace. Yeah, that is cool. It's really cool. But I'd rather watch a fight when two people absolutely hate each other and they're spitting in each other's faces beforehand, because I'm like, shit, get the popcorn. This is going to be good. So you're right, Lewis. Fair play to them.
Yeah, I can't hate on it. And, look, Artem didn't have an unbelievable career in the UFC, but he's an entertaining fighter. Paulie Malignaggi, we were talking about Nate Diaz being out for a while and how much this is going to affect him. And Paulie Malignaggi, he hasn't fought since March 2017, hasn't had a win since July of 2016. So it's a similar thing, 2 years since he's fought, more than 2 years since he's fought, and going on 3 years since he's had a win. Artem Lobov, he's just fought bare knuckle boxing. He's been an active UFC fighter, been fighting for high-level fights for a very, very long time right now and been very active. So that might be a major factor here as well. So the experience with just boxing goes to Paulie Malignaggi, but you have Artem Lobov, who has also been super, super active. And, I kind of want to see it. For the first time, I'm actually interested in watching a bare-knuckle boxing fight. So I have to say good for them for actually doing a good job promoting it, because there's a little bit of interest here. I just, as my son's getting older, he's 6 years old now, like I'm getting into watching fighting with him now. I couldn't watch that with him. It's guaranteed that you're going to see these nasty fucking cuts on their faces. It's a really brutal sport. So that's sort of the downside of that sport that I see, whereas like the mixed martial arts has almost become like, it's almost become a family sport. It's crazy to say, dude. Where it started from, where it's at now, I don't think it's weird to have a 7-year-old kid at a mixed martial arts event or watching a mixed martial arts event, especially if their family's involved in the sport in one way or another. But bare knuckle boxing is a little bit too brutal for kids to be watching.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I had Lucas in the octagon in 2015 when I fought Talis Lightis. Callum came into the ring after a bunch of my fights, after I'd won my fights, and he was there live. And you're right, it is bizarre to think that UFC now has become a family sport, certainly in the US. For example, out here in South Africa, I'm here and I'm in the makeup room, in the wardrobe, trying things on and doing makeup tests and whatnot. And they know I'm a fighter. They hear about that before I come. And they've got so many questions because it's not a big deal out here. Although, some people do know who I am. It's kind of weird walking down the street in South Africa and somebody beeps their horn and they're like, hey, Bisping. And you're like, I'm in fucking South Africa. It's crazy. But that's the reach of the sport. But still, what the point I'm making is it's still unknown in some territories. Now, because I was explaining to somebody today, in the US, it's massive. And you're right, it has kind of become like a family sport. And that's because when it went on to Fox Sports, that was the deal changer, the game changer, pardon me, because you would go from sitting there watching, basketball, baseball, whatever the sport was, then that would finish and boom, on came the fights. So you got legions of new fans. And now, of course, it's gone one up and it's on ESPN. So now it's definitely, you know, up there with the big boys in terms of sports entertainment. So it is incredible. You're right. Bare knuckle boxing has come out of nowhere, and I feel like eventually it will disappear into obscurity again. That's just my bold prediction for this episode. But I can't see this being sustained. I am intrigued, though, to know what they're paying Paulie Malignaggi. You know, he had a long, lengthy, successful boxing career. He retired with a record of 36-8. Most of those losses came towards the end of his career. I'm just looking at his Wikipedia page. But still, you know, I mean, one would think that he would command a healthy purse. Now, of course, from what I hear about bare knuckle boxing is that they get a decent cut of the pay-per-view, and that's the only way they're attracting some of these fighters. And, you know, for a guy like Malinagi and Artem, no wonder they're doing that. Like when I fought GSP, that was partly part of the reason why I was going out there, and I was trying to antagonize him so much. Because he's just an easy target, and I was having a great time. Maybe that's just because I'm a bit of an asshole deep down. But B, because I'm trying to sell and hype the fight. So you got to think what Artem and Malinagi are doing. It's all to help sell more pay-per-views.
Mike, really quick, got to talk about Blue Chew to our fans. You guys have heard us talk about this for a while. Blue Chew is basically a performance enhancement drug for the bedroom. Same active ingredient as Viagra or Cialis. You guys have heard of those drugs. But this is a chewable little tablet. It tastes like fucking candy, which I love. And they make it easy. You don't have to go to the doctor. You don't have to have a weird conversation talking to the doctor about how you want your dick to work better. No. Simply as you go on the website, bluechew.com, you fill out a little questionnaire. They give you a prescription right online, and everything comes to your door in nice, discreet packaging. And I'm going to tell you right now, I use this regularly. I have a prescription. It was as easy as you could possibly be. It really does make sex 100 times better. Better for me, better for my chick, better for everybody involved. The guy filming, the neighbors listening. It's great.
Yeah, well, that was a little too much information. I now have a mental image, but if you want a little enhancement, then this is the way to go. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, everybody wants to enhance things that are good. I mean, even world-class athletes, UFC fighters, they sometimes take performance-enhancing drugs, and they have no need to. I mean, look at Anderson Silva. Not only was he taking performance-enhancing drugs, he was taking dick pills, okay? Had he been taking, if he was really taking dick pills, and he took Blue Chew, he probably wouldn't have tested positive.
Very
okay,
smart.
So if you're in the UFC, then, you know, there you go. Disclaimer, because that may not be true. But if you do want to get involved, and as we say, everybody wants a little enhancement, it's very, very simple. As Lewis said, no need to go to the doctor. It will be delivered in discreet packaging. The chewables from Blue Chew are prescribed online by a doctor and made in the USA. And Blue Chew gives you confidence in bed every time. You and your partner are going to love it, so give it a try. Chew it and do it. Okay, so here's what you got to do. Got a great deal for you. Visit bluechew.com and get your first order free when you use the promo code BELIEVE. Just pay $5 shipping. That's blue, B-L-U-E, chew, C-H-E-W.com. Bluechew.com. Promo code BELIEVE. Chew it. Do it. All right, let's get on with the show.
Did you, I don't want to switch gears too much, but it sort of kind of reminded me of it when you'd mentioned how much Malinaggi's making. Tito Ortiz came out and said Dana White was right about Oscar De La Hoya promoting MMA.
Oh, really? I never saw that. No, please tell me.
This was it was pretty interesting. I mean, I guess he was just talking about just fighter pay and just talking about how, here, let me see the actual quote.
Well, before you bring that up, I mean, I think Tito and Chuck both earned somewhere around the ballpark of $200,000 each.
Yeah.
Which for guys of their stature isn't a lot of money. You know, yes, it's still a lot of money, but for guys like that, you know, they thought they were going to do terrific pay-per-view numbers. And once again, I could be mistaken, so don't quote me, but I'm led to believe it did around 60, 70, 75,000 pay-per-view buys. So, you know, I don't think anybody got rich out of that. So maybe Tito has, you know, he's got an axe to grind. He's probably kind of pissed off. He went out there, he promoted it, he did it, he upheld his end of the bargain, whereas Oscar De La Hoya didn't really do much. He couldn't even remember the fighters' names at the press conference.
Yeah, well, exactly. Dana White, I guess, went off on a little bit of a tangent about how, people like to shit on what the UFC does. And I've said this for a very long time, and I will never be paid by the UFC to do anything. I promise you. This is not the angle that I would ever try to get on. But the UFC have developed a really sustainable model and made millionaires out of a lot of fighters. Created, we're giving actual real careers to hundreds, if not thousands of people. If not thousands of fighters, but thousands of people. They've created a legitimate industry. So when people shit on sort of the business model, I'm going like, guys, there are so many people that eat off of this and eat really well. I have to give so much respect to Dana White and the Fertitta brothers and what they built, with this sport. And I think it's just very short-sighted. People don't know what it's like to run a business. They don't know what it's like to run a fucking podcast network, much less a multi-billion-dollar mixed martial arts organization. So people like to shit on them. And I guess Dana White went off on a little bit of a tirade. And after the smoke cleared, what Tito said was, his quote is, "I think he made a lot of mistakes, but at the time, for a boxing promoter to come into mixed martial arts, it's a different animal. Dana was right." Meaning all the stuff that Dana said about him not knowing how to build an MMA organization, and if they had one meeting with Oscar De La Hoya, they'd see exactly how much he knows about MMA, which is nothing. And then you look at the fighter payouts, and there was guys making $1,500 on that card. People like to talk shit, but that just doesn't happen in the UFC anymore. There was literally like 3 or 4 fighters that made $1,500, $2,000 to go and put their life on the line. On what was supposed to be the biggest competition for the UFC and being marketed as like what they're doing right for the fighters. It was just sort of bullshit.
Yeah, well, he raises a lot of valid points there, but for Oscar to come out and say they were really going to rival the UFC, that was kind of lunacy right from the start. But regarding the fighter pay, that's how it is. It's certainly when you come from the boxing world and you look at boxing fights, the guy at the top, the main event, let's say Deontay Wilder at the weekend. We'll talk about that in a moment. I've got something to say on that. But, I don't know what his purse was. He will have made a lot of money. But as you trickle down, and I'm not talking about this fight card in particular because I don't know what the payouts were, but generally in boxing, main event gets paid millions upon millions. And then down the bottom, you might have guys fighting for $500. I think on the Mayweather Pacquiao fight, which was like 4-point-something million pay-per-view buys, there was guys on there making $500 on the early fights. And that's just how it is. And, it's funny because I was having this conversation with one of the stunt guys yesterday. We were driving back to the hotel and he was asking, yeah, but you don't really get paid. I said, well, the big guys now in MMA, they do. And he said, well, yeah, but it's still a long way from boxing. I said, yeah, you're right, it is. But still, there is money to be made, and there's very, very good money. If you can become a world champion, if you're one of the best, if you're a main event, if you're a mainstay of the promotion, you're going to make good money, and will it go up? Yeah, it'll go up. It's been going up all the time. If you look at the trajectory, if it was a graph, it's going up. It's definitely trending upwards, and it hasn't been around as long as boxing. But still, if you look down on the bottom, I'm not sure what the minimum is, but I think it's 15 and 15, or it might be 10 and 10, but it's around that mark. Now, listen, when you do a training camp, let's say you win your fight $20,000. It doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it would have been to me back in the day. You do a training camp, say you lose your fight, you got to pay taxes and all that stuff. So you may be not left with a lot, but that's the risk you take as a professional fighter. You know what I mean? You got to start somewhere. Like, when we started this podcast, we made zero money. Now we make just enough to pay Harrington, so we're going places, but when we started on nothing. And when you're a professional fighter, just like my first ever professional fight, I wasn't paid a penny. And then you slowly, incrementally, with every fight, you build your brand, you build a profile, you get a following, you work your way up, you get more and more and more. And then if you're good enough, then you start making some real money. So those fighters, just like me, in the acting world, I'm not talking about this show. This show's pretty good. But some of the work I've done, it doesn't pay very well, because it's the building phase. It's the investment phase. I can't expect to walk into the acting world and get paid a ton of fucking money like a Vin Diesel might do just because I was a world champion MMA. No, I'm nobody in the acting world. So you got to work your way up. So sometimes, my wife has said in the past about certain roles, as I said, not this one. This one pays pretty well. Why are you doing this one, Mike? It doesn't pay well. I'm like, yeah, You got to work your way up. You got to build your way. It's the investment phase. And it's the same thing with young fighters. When they start, you're taking a chance on yourself and you think, I might lose. And if I went and got a job, you know, working at whatever or using that degree I got at college, I could probably make more money. But I'm willing to bet on myself. I'm willing to take a gamble because I think I can win and I think I can become a main event and I think I can become world champion one day. So therefore, it's worth taking these small paydays now because it's going to pay off in the long run. And that's what every fighter in every sport, whether it's UFC or boxing or anything else for that matter, that's the way you all fucking start. Formula One drivers, they start driving go-karts. You know, soccer, footballers in England, they start off playing in a pub team at the weekend for nothing. And then you work your way up. That's just the way the world fucking goes round. So you can point at Oscar De La Hoya's, you know, payouts at the bottom and then being very small. I don't really have a problem with that because that's the way it goes.
Yeah. I mean, it's an investment into anything. And to be honest with you, it shouldn't be easy. Being a professional fighter, it's a very like socialist sort of new liberal young attitude where it's like everybody's got to make a lot of money. It's like, no. No. The people that are special should make a lot. The people that stand out should make a lot. It should be difficult to get into any of these things. If it was easy to be a professional fighter, there's nothing special about it, you know, and that's why we love it. If it was easy to be a stand-up comedian, then who gives a shit? Nobody would go and pay to see money perform in comedy clubs. So you have to sort of eat shit for a while, and the cream will rise to the top. I've said this plenty of times on this show and on other shows about both comedy and about MMA. I feel like it's fair. It's very fair. Like if you're really good by the standards of MMA, you'll probably get a UFC contract and you'll probably go make pretty good money. I'm looking at this figure right here. 33% of all UFC fighters make 6 figures a year, which is incredible. That's an incredible thing, doing something that most people get into because they're passionate about it and most people would pay to do in the beginning. So, yeah, I think.
I don't know if they'd pay to do it, Lewis. I see the point you're making, and you're trying to be passionate about it. I don't know if they'd pay, but I guess for my first ever fight, I guess I did pay because I didn't get paid, and it cost money to train for the fight.
100%.
Yeah, so it cost me money in the long run. And yeah, you're right. I mean, listen, should fighters be paid more? In my opinion, yes. But, you know, as I say, it is trending upwards. The UFC are paying more and more out. I remember back in the day, Lorenzo Fertitta, I forget which article or newspaper it was. They did like an investigatory piece on the UFC, and Lorenzo was kind of defensive, and rightly so. He was like, oh, why don't you guys go out there and do a story on all the millionaires we've made through the UFC? I don't see you guys writing that because I can tell you right now, we've made plenty of millionaires in this company, guys that probably had no other chance in life. And I was one of them, Lewis. You know, I mean, I'm not an idiot and I'm very ambitious and I'm a hard worker. So maybe I would have made it in some other area of life. But at that time, that's what I was focused on. I had no education, left school at 16, and I was working dead-end job after dead-end job. Now, you know, I can afford to pay Harrington as a producer for our podcast. So, again, I'm rolling in it.
Harrington's homeless, but you know we almost sent Harrington to South Africa. I'm not even kidding. We thought about it. We looked up the price of tickets because we want Harrington away from us so bad. We're like, we can just send Harrington to South Africa for 10 days. You don't have to do anything, Bisping. We'll buy you a pack of cigarettes. You can go fucking smoke a cigarette while Harrington sets everything up in your hotel room. You come in like a fucking king when you're ready to talk. But it was too much money. No. Too much money.
Send Harrington, and he can be like my fall guy. So when I go out at night, Harrington always walks 10 paces behind me. Because if I run, they'll catch Harrington for sure.
That's true.
And then they'll just zombify Harrington. They'll just eat him to bits, rob him, take everything, then throw it back at him when they realize all his possessions are worthless. But in the meantime, I'll be off. I'll be gone. I'll be in the hotel, you know, having a martini.
I would say send him before you, though. So why send him after you? Send him before you. This way, if they just come straight in with the liver stabbings, they just get him really quick. You see what happens. You run the opposite direction.
Yeah, not a bad plan either. I sign off on that one as well. All right, so I mentioned Deontay Wilder before, and again, I apologize, guys. I never saw this fight, and I'm not sure if you did either, but I did see the knockout. It was a first-round knockout for Deontay Wilder. Very, very good. That's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the fact, and maybe you can pull this up, Harrington, while I'm talking about this. He talked about, before the fight, how it's a beautiful thing. And if I'm getting this quote wrong, I apologize. Correct me.
It's in the notes, actually.
Oh, it's in the notes. Well, go ahead. Take over. Read it out.
Yeah, Harrington, you want to pull it up in the notes? He's an idiot. He said it's in the notes. He mouthed that to me and that he doesn't have it up.
Yeah, see what I mean? Don't send him to South Africa. Send him to, like, proper Africa. Send him to the Congo.
Yeah.
Okay? He's never coming back.
Well, he already has AIDS, so. This is the only sport where you can kill a man and get paid for it. It's illegal, so why not use my right to do so? Holy shit. Is that the quote? That's a quote?
That is the quote. Yeah, definitely. And then Frank Bruno, British boxing legend, heavyweight boxing legend, who recently I struck up a relationship with via social media, I'll have you know. I'm now a proud member of his the Frank Bruno Foundation and one of the ambassadors for his fight against people with mental health problems. You're welcome, everybody. It's just what I do. I give back. He retweeted it and saying, something along the lines of shame on this guy. And I responded as also because, listen, deaths in boxing is a very, very sad reality. It's a sad fact. But it's not something that we should aspire to. You shouldn't be out there trying to kill your opponent. I mean, at the end of the day, as we just spoke about, a lot of fighters, they're kind of born into this life. They're forced with it, Generally, you don't see guys that have got it all going for them, coming from wealthy families and tons of education. You don't see them fighting for a living, okay? These guys, they've got families. They might have children. They want to go out there. They want to fight. They want to earn some money, and they want to go home to the family. To be talking about exercising their right to actually kill somebody in a boxing ring or an octagon, honestly, I think that's pretty disgusting, Lewis.
So yeah, you agree? I mean, is he not just talking shit? I mean, if you really got him in a real moment, I don't know that he is genuinely wishing death upon another man and wouldn't be destroyed if that was the end result and what happens. I think sometimes you say these things and they sound cool. And I get it. I thought it sounded kind of badass when I heard the quote. I was like, oh, shit. But I don't necessarily take everything at face value when somebody has a microphone in their face. They're trying to create a moment. They're trying to, they're promoting this brand of being a fucking killer. So I don't know. I mean, if he really feels that way, if he legitimately is wishing death upon the people that he's fighting, then I think, yeah, maybe this shouldn't be the sport because his intent shouldn't be trying to kill somebody. His intent should be to win this sporting event.
Jesus Christ, Mr. Rationale. Yeah, okay, you're right. I guess maybe he was just trying to have a fucking cool soundbite. Bro, can we just take him literally just for a second? He said he's trying to kill people in a sport where, unfortunately, between 10 and 15 people die every year.
No.
So, bro,
not that
Google
many.
that right now, Harrington. Otherwise, you are coming to Africa and you're staying at a hotel down the street. Google that right now. Average deaths of boxers per year.
Let's see. Not true. Not true.
Yes, true, Mr. Bisping. I'm talking to myself because I know I'm true.
Bisping's losing his mind. He's fucking getting what are the diseases? Get malaria in Africa? He's losing it.
Yellow fever.
The following is a list of deaths due to injuries sustained in boxing.
Average. All right, I'm going to do it myself. Average number of deaths per year. Number of deaths per year in boxing. It's pretty simple, guys. Hold on, wait for it. 10. First thing that come up. Death due to brain trauma in the journal article entitled Boxing. Blah, blah, blah. Lots of big words. Blah, 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 blah,
yeah,
blah.
But I'm looking at other things that are saying 2 or 3. Harrington, what are you going to say?
So here's the thing, Michael. You're right in the sense that goes back to like the 1800s. Like
right.
In 1955, I think 40 people died.
They changed the rules to it wasn't 15 rounds anymore. They changed the standards of the gloves. There was a bunch of changes.
Stop. I'm aware that they changed things, Lewis. I'm aware of the history of the sweet science. But I clicked on another one. In several studies, not just one, several studies, they found that 15 to 40% of ex-boxers have been found to have symptoms of chronic brain injury. And the article goes on. So even still, it's dangerous. People die. The fact that we're debating whether it's 10 a year, 5 a year, 7 a year, whatever the number is, per year, there is a number of deaths in boxing.
I'm just saying that when you break it down, there are 500 deaths per year via hippopotamus. So it's fine. I'm just saying.
Yes. And if you want to tackle a hippopotami, whew, you're a crazy man. You're gonna die. You know, if you want to step into a ring, you might die. But to glorify it, to almost present it as a grandiose thing, to say I'm going to go out there and kill this man, and ooh, isn't that beautiful? When people do actually die, if I had a shame bell right now, geez, I'd be ringing it pretty hard.
Yeah, well, Mr. Bisping, I mean, look, you've always led your life as just a real deal gentleman of an athlete. You would never say or do anything that would cross the line. So, I mean, I understand your perspective on this. You set the standard, and these guys aren't living by it. So, shame on you, Deontay.
Well, there you go. And of course, this is coming from Deontay Wilder, who actually has the ability to kill someone. Almost every person that he punches goes out for the count, which is why I respected Tyson Fury so much when he got up in that last round of that last fight. But, all right, enough of that. What else we got?
The other big booking that was just announced was Edgar versus Holloway for the featherweight title, which is a little weird, right?
Yeah, it is weird. Go on, say your point.
Well, I mean, look, Frankie Edgar, he's gotten the fight so many times. Who just what's his name? Volkanovski. Yeah, Volkanovski just beat Aldo, and I guess that was the fight that people assumed was going to happen, but apparently they had already worked out. The Harrington wants to say something so bad. What?
He actually, on the flight back, had to stop over in Chile. He had some kind of an infection, and he was left up in the hospital for a while, and apparently when they couldn't immediately make it, that's when they slid in Frankie.
Yeah, thanks, Harrington. You little bastard said what I was going to say, because you're like, oh, you think Volkanovski should have had it, and then I was going to come in seeming all smart and connected. Yeah, you're right. He's got some kind of foot disease, and he was in hospital in Chile or somewhere recently. Listen, Frankie Edgar, he just beat Cub Swanson. He's been around forever. He's paid his dues, and he's a fan favorite. Now, on paper, yeah, I'd say Volkanovski definitely deserves it over Frankie Edgar. But if you look at the body of work, Frankie Edgar can't be denied. Yeah, he lost to Brian Ortega, but when he fought Brian Ortega, he was supposed to be fighting Max Holloway, if you remember. Then something happened, so he fought Brian Ortega instead, so he was unlucky there. Prior to that, he beat Yair Rodriguez, he beat Jeremy Stevens, and before that, he lost to Jose Aldo. And then you're going to go back quite a while until his next loss, and that was to Jose Aldo as well. So, I'm not against it. You're right. On paper, after just beating Aldo and after being something like 17-1 and unbeaten in God knows how many fights, yeah, Volkanovski's the man to do it. But he's injured. He's in fucking hospital with an infection. And Frankie Edgar is out there gunning for it. His manager's on social media. He's on social media. And I say well done to Frankie. And there's another guy, as you said, like Donald Cerrone. There's some parallels to my career there. And we got Frankie Edgar as well. I mean, of course, he was the 155 champ back in the day. But here's another guy to really hit another high mark in his career towards the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, Frankie is the man. And, I remember, who was it? It was, Gray Maynard, dude. Oh, my God, dude. When he took that fucking beating off of Gray Maynard, and just that was like one of those moments of old school MMA where it's like, God damn it, just all heart. Frankie's always been that dude. So I love watching him in those fights. It's just when you have a guy that is, fucking Volkanovski hasn't lost a fight in years. It's just, he's got one loss on his record ever. I don't even know how long ago that was, but it was, it's so glaring that he's the next best guy in the division. I feel like the UFC, they wait for fights all the time. So obviously, whatever. Good for Frankie Edgar. Good for his team. How do you see the fight going? I think Max Holloway probably wins this fight pretty handily. Max obviously just came off that loss against Dustin Poirier, but at 145, Max has looked basically unstoppable, and Frankie's looked okay.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You can't lean towards Frankie Edgar in this fight. I mean, I like Max Holloway as well. So I was going to say I wish him the best of luck. But both of those guys, they're great guys. They're awesome fighters, great human beings. So I wish them both the best. May the best man win, you know. So we'll talk about it nearer the time. Another story I wanted to touch on real fast, Sage Northcutt, Lewis. Did you see this? Or everyone's favorite Guile impersonator, Ken from Street Fighter 2. He could also be him. Everyone's favorite, yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir fighter. Sage Northcutt went out, signed with ONE FC, fought somebody out that I've never heard of, so my apologies. Got knocked out pretty bad in the first round. Went to the hospital and explained the injuries, Lewis.
Hold on. Time the fuck out. Give me 1 second. We know that Sage Northcutt's in the new Street Fighter movie, and somebody wrote here that he's playing Ken? What? And not Guile?
No, he's got to be playing Guile. He has to be playing Guile.
Doggy,
I said Ken because he kind of looks like him as well. But is he playing Guile?
No, I know. Ken? I'm looking at this thing. It says Sage Northcutt is Ken in Street Fighter Genesis. Now somebody else put Sage Northcutt as Guile in the new Street Fighter. Which one is it? I don't know. But yeah, look, either way, I did see the fight. He got his face busted open. He looked fine after the fight, right? He got up, he smiled. He looked like it was just a normal knockout. It was a pretty brutal knockout. He was face planted. But what happened? How many fractures did he have, Harrington? 8 fractures or 9?
Something like that. 8 or 9. Yeah. Face was smashed up pretty good. I will just say this. After I fought Dan Henderson the second time, my face was smashed up. I had a fractured orbital. You know, I didn't make a big deal of it, though. I didn't even mention it until now, Lewis. They wanted to put in a metal plate, and I declined and went on with my career.
Well, I mean, why would you want to put in a weaker material than what your body's made of?
Yeah, made of titanium, man, you know. So, yeah, you know, I mean, I just declined it. I'm like, listen, keep it out of the media. I don't want any recognition for this. I don't want anybody thinking, you know, wow, he's really tough and what a brave warrior. I just never mentioned it. I just got on with my business. But, you know, Sage Northcutt, whatever, you know, he smashes his face, he puts his x-rays all over the internet, and you know, that's just the difference between us, Lewis.
I don't even think it makes you look like a badass to have your face smashed in by another man. I think it's the opposite. I'm like, all right, dude. Cool. Wow, your fucking face is weaker than that dude's fist. Good for you. You're pretty awesome, dude.
Yeah. No, listen, all right, all jokes aside. First of all, hope Sage Northcutt heals up pretty well. I think he is. I mean, I think something like this, whilst it looks bad and sounds bad, in the fight world, unfortunately, it's pretty commonplace. And, you know, you have your surgery. I think it was 8 hours, so pretty in-depth. But I wish him all the best. Sage is a really, really nice guy. The reason I wanted to talk about this, though, is because, and as you said before, mixed martial arts is becoming, you know, a family sport. It's on ESPN. It was on Fox. It's all over the world. So a lot of people, you know, they get involved and they see it on TV and they want to do it and they want to fight. And it just kind of pissed me off sometimes because you got to respect this sport. And I'm not saying Sage Northcutt wasn't. You know, he's been around for a while. He's paid his dues. He trains his ass off. But a lot of people do. They see it on TV and they want to try it. This is not a sport to mess around with. You can get really fucking hurt. And it's only a matter of time before, unfortunately, somebody passes away, you know. And I think some people, and I'm not talking about Sage, I'm not, some people that shouldn't be doing this sport are doing it because they see it and they like the image. And of course, they get a lot of followers on Instagram, they earn good money, and there's a whole image with it, and everyone thinks you're a badass. But here's the reality. You take one good shot off a really hard guy that hits like a motherfucker, you know, and you could have your face smashed open and 9 fractures. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's that's the scary part of it. You know, I've trained before and I've been hit in the face before, but I've never been really, really fucking nailed like that. And I remember one time years ago, we were doing some dumb thing in the street. We were doing like a street team promotion thing. And we had boxing gloves and we had headgear. And there was like, we were trying to get people to stop and get our street team ticket and get our tickets to this comedy show. We just were, you know, challenging each other to boxing matches, and random people would come up and they put on the gloves and we'd fuck around. And this little Mexican guy, dude, this kid was half my size. And he put on the gloves. He was like, no, I don't need the headgear. And I'm like, all right. And he came over, dude. He cracked me so hard. It was nuts. I took a knee and I was like, I had never been hit so hard in my life. My jaw, like, it was like for a month afterwards, my jaw wasn't in the right position. And that was the moment where I was like, all right, I'm not a fighter. Because this was like a 145-pound Mexican kid.
Lewis, tell the truth. I mean, you're sitting there, you're painting this story about some unknown world champion, badass boxer that went on to be discovered to be one of the best of all time, came up and hit you with a punch so hard. You were forced to take a knee. You know, I mean, he didn't drop me. I mean, I was forced to take a knee. Bullshit, Lewis. Tell the truth. You were flat out on your back.
He put me in the hospital for 6 months. He fucked my girlfriend in front of me. No, it's true. He cucked
Bit
me.
of a step too far.
Look, at that point, what was I going to do? I was out. So, yeah, it was.
Go on, finish your point. Finish your point.
The point is, though, that, I don't fucking, I mean, getting hit that hard, people don't even realize what, they can't even put it in their head what something like that is like. I mean, think about the hardest you've ever been punched in the face, and now imagine a guy who's a trained killer doing it to you. No, thank you. No, thank you. And this is a guy that nobody's even really heard of that says Northcutt lost to.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's my point entirely. You got to, unfortunately, deal with the consequences. I mean, this sport is very, very tough. We were talking before about boxers dying and, things like that. I've had many, many injuries. I mean, I'm here trying to do these fight scenes on this movie, and I'm having to do a lot of work on my body to be able to do so because
all right, we get it. We get it. Your body looks great right now. Holy shit. How many times is he going to say it in one show?
No, I'm talking about injuries, you prick. My knees are messed up. My shoulders are messed up. My neck's messed up. My eyes messed up. My elbows messed up, and you got to live with that for the rest of your life. A lot of people, they don't pay the respect. And I'm not saying Sage wasn't, but that's just, a young fighter out there, if you're listening to this, or a young wannabe, or a person that watches it and thinks I want to do that, look at Sage. I mean, look what happened to him. And fortunately, he'll be okay. He'll be okay, and he'll make a return. And I wish him the best with all, throughout the rest of his career. But the consequences are real in this sport. And I just feel that sometimes that, because it's so big and so popular now, I feel that gets glossed over. I really do. And it's kind of badass. Or even when you're covered in blood, like, oh yeah, he's a badass. Because cuts aren't that bad. I mean, you get a cut to your head or your face when you're highly amped, your heartbeat is through the roof. It's going to bleed like crazy. But then when you wipe up all that blood, it's just a little nick on your face. So cuts look bad and they kind of look cool because you're covered in blood. But it's the things that go on internally. When you get real serious injuries, people got to be careful. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying this is a sport not to be done. I love this sport. It's my favorite sport in the world. It's the only sport that I watch. But I'm just saying, young fighters that want to make this choice, just be fully aware of the circumstances and the consequences you may face one day.
Is confirmed. Looks like that Sage Northcutt is going to be Ken in the Street Fighter movie.
Oh, well, that makes sense. He's got blonde hair as well. They can style his hair. I mean, right now he has those god awful spikes, so that's why you think Guile. But yeah, I just don't. I can't see. I would imagine Guile to be a bit of a badass. I just can't see Sage Northcutt, no offense, playing a badass. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I tell you what, congratulations to him. That's a fantastic role to get. And I will just say this, as Ken or Ryu, not Ryu, that's how you pronounce it, idiots. As Ken or Ryu, I will beat anybody in the world on Street Fighter 2. That's a fact.
We were supposed to do this, and I have Street Fighter 2. I have it. So we just need to next time we're in town, we need to just do a video of us doing it, and I will fucking destroy you.
That sounds like a fun.
I'll be Chun-Li.
That sounds.
Are you actually serious with that fucking 1,000-foot kick and that crane kick and spinning bird kick? You think you're gonna come at me with that shit? I will dragon punch you all day and fucking Hadouken you to death.
Doggy,
okay?
I'll put you in the corner. I'll just keep on doing the fucking flip kick, and then I'll pause it every time Chun-Li does her flip kick, and I'll look at her ass and pussy for a second, and then I'll unpause it and keep on finishing you.
Well, I mean, that's disrespectful to women. Okay, first of all, I don't sign off on that on behalf of the Believe in Me podcast and Gas Digital. We apologize for Luis J. Gomez. But the fact that you don't even know the name of the kick, you call it the flip kick. It's called the spinning bird kick.
No, that's that's the helicopter kick. I'm talking about she does a backflip kick, which is just her normal kick. And if you pause it when she does a backflip, you can see her ass and a little bit of her puss.
Yeah, no, and it looks good. I will say that she does have some lovely thighs on her.
Doggy, she does.
Time,
I used to. That was when I discovered masturbation. Is when that show is at its height. So,
well, it was a video game, but
whatever, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean that's great. I mean, who else has been confirmed for that movie? Because I'm pretty jealous. Sage, fuck you, you prick.
I don't know anybody else. I'm looking at these people. They're all unknowns. It also doesn't look very good, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of those movies aren't. Apart from the fact that I was pretty close to a part in the Mortal Kombat movie and I never got that. So, yeah, that movie can go to hell as well. But what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I think that might be a great main event for your live show at Skankfest. Hook that up on the big screen, you two play in front of a live audience.
Oh, I'll destroy him. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do it with people around either. That'll be really embarrassing for him.
Have I told you the story about what I used to do, my little racketeering when I was at school? I would take my Super Nintendo in and pretend I was raising money for the art department. I would say, I'll play them all, miss. They all pay 20 pence each. And if they beat me, they get £1. And any money that I raised will go to the art department. Now, nobody beat me. I knew that. I was a nerd. I had no friends when I was a kid. That's all I did. I played Street Fighter 2, and I would wipe the floor with everyone. I'd make, not a lot of money, but to me it was a lot of money. 2, 3, 4 quid in 20p's for playing Street Fighter 2. I was a fucking gangster in my own world. I thought I was cool as fuck, but I probably looked like a total nerd at the time. And then at the end, Mrs. Craig would be like, "So did you make any money?" I'm like, "Oh God, bad day, miss. I actually owe £3, because blah 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 blah." So yeah. Anyway, long story short, that's how good at Street Fighter 2 I am.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm not one of those normal kids. I happen to be pretty damn good at Street Fighter 2 as well. So who's your character is Ken?
You also had no friends.
I didn't have, but my problem was I didn't have any electricity in my house either, so I didn't get to practice as much. But your guy is Ken or Ryu?
Yeah, I mean, I like Ryu. Ken's a bit of a... I don't know what it is about Ken. He bothers me. But I used to do Japanese jiu-jitsu, and I love that. So I always picked Ryu because he was Japanese.
Yeah, and also he kind of looks the most like you. He looks a little white. Do you remember the old Street Fighter movie? That was a really bad movie. Me and my mom saw that movie on Christmas Eve. It's fucked up. Christmas Eve, 1995. Almost.
Hold on. First of all, classic Christmas movie. Carry on.
Obviously. But my mom, she bought me like a 3-disc CD player for Christmas that year. And we got into a car accident on the ride home from the movie theater. And she totaled her car. And it was so depressing because we were so poor. And then the next day, on the Pick 4 Lotto, like you get Pick 4, her numbers came out. 9561. I'll never forget 9561 because it was her birthday. And she didn't actually play the lotto because she took me to the movies instead of playing the lotto. So Christmas.
So sorry.
Dude, well, it's fine. She's dead. But this Christmas was.
So sorry.
This Christmas was. I mean, at the time, dude, the most depressed you will ever see a person ever. She were already poor. She totals her car. It's Christmas Eve, and then the lottos that she didn't play for $1. She just didn't play it. All the money for the car could have been just paid off right there and then. It was just a beautiful moment of chaos and bad luck.
Well, I'm not sure if I'd use the word beautiful, but how much would she have won had she put the money on?
$5,000.
Oh, dude, what year are we talking? Like 95?
It was something? Our car was only worth like $3,000 probably. It was like a shitty old Ford Tempo or whatever. It was like, a used car. It would have been the difference between us having a new car and like just us, that we were poor. We weren't buying like a fucking, a nice car. We just bought another used car, had that car fixed. But it was just so fucking depressing. So depressing.
No, it really is. It's things like that, it's like what else can go wrong? But no doubt there was a period of self-loathing there. I can only imagine, that was very, very depressing. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Lewis. I think I'm shedding a little tear here.
Oh, stop.
I really am, but all right, well, that's that. Should we do some questions?
Yeah, let's get a couple questions in. We got to wrap up in just a little bit, Mr. Bisping. But if you guys want to join the conversation, you can shoot us an email, bympod@gmail.com. Shoot us your video questions, audio questions, or just regular questions. We'll be going back to our normal video podcast in just about a week or so. We know it's been a little bit of a stressful situation for you guys who love watching it on YouTube, but we do appreciate you guys still listening to the show and enjoying the podcast in its audio form. If you guys love the show, you should go subscribe on our YouTube channel. Just search Michael Bisping Podcast or Believe You Me Podcast on YouTube. You can find it pretty easily. And subscribe on iTunes. Leave us a 5-star ranking and positive review. And last but not least, if you want pre-release on all the episodes, if you want the entire on-demand library at your fingertips, go to gasdigitalnetwork.com and use the promo code BYM. You get all the episodes ad-free, uncensored as well. First question, Harrington.
Okay. This is from Mini
Drink
Pepper.
some water. Jesus, could you hear that, Michael? Bisping, did you hear the way he sounded just now? His fucking cotton-mouthy, nasty mouth. Ew.
Yeah, well, listen, the poor guy. Can you listen on behalf of everybody listening? I'm starting a movement. It's the let's not pick on Harrington movement. Unless you continue to be a useless asshole, Harrington, then I lift the ban. But I say let's give Harrington a fair crack of the whip. Let's treat him as a decent human being and see if he can reciprocate those values.
You've always had my back, Mike. I appreciate that.
I just gave Harrington a fucking a promotion today. It's making me furious. I hate him so.
Whoa, stop. What the fuck? You guys listening to this, I'm trying to be nice. You don't know what I'm dealing with here. I'm pulling my mind out. I'm sending multiple messages to a blank screen. I'm getting nothing in return. I'm trying to Skype. I'm trying to do this. I can't even get a response from Harrington. And I'm like, my God, this guy's driving me nuts, and you're promoting him. Oh, my God. See, that's the thing. It's never the guy. It's never the guy down low. It's the person in the position of power that is making the mistakes. You are responsible for all of these mistakes, Lewis. You, not Harrington. Harrington, I apologize for every off-tone, every bad word, every abusive text I've ever sent you. I should have directed it all at Lewis, and I knew this.
Yeah, look, I'll take the blame. It's my own fault. I enabled this guy, but it's not even a promotion. It's actually less responsibility, which is a promotion in his mind. That's all it is. Like, he just has less things that he can fuck up in the way we've switched his job up. So it's good for everyone. We've all got a promotion, technically.
Yeah. So now he has less avenues to work his way up the company, but he has more time to stare at his phone and do nothing. So therefore, in his mind, it's a promotion. Hey, fair play, Harrington. Listen, it's one of life's small victories. Well done.
Life's small victories. Oh, shit. All right. So look, shoot us your questions. Harrington, he drank some water, by the way. Also couldn't pour the water into his mouth properly. Spilled it down his beard and chest. Good. First question.
Hello to all of BYM. Mr. Pep here from Lincolnshire, UK. Longtime fan. Glad you got your internet sorted out, Count Bisping. Question for yourself, kind sir. I am a massive MMA fan and train in Muay Thai and boxing and have done a few years now. Unfortunately, don't have the time to commit to wrestling or BJJ as well as stand-up. I've had a couple amateur fights in inner clubs in boxing and Muay Thai, but I can't seem to turn the aggression in the ring. I seem to be stuck in sparring mode. In my last fight, this was a shitty part of my brain, has caused me to get KO'd when I was boxing very aggressive, heavier guy. Any advice you can give someone like me to get more aggressive in the ring? Thanks, dudes and dudettes.
Interesting. So hold on. So what he's saying is that he can't, the aggression that he has in sparring isn't crossing over to the actual fight night, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, interesting. I'm trying, what was his name, Harrington?
Mini Pepper.
Oh, okay. Classic name. Good old Christian name there, Mini Pepper. Thanks for the question. Ooh, tough one. I mean, it sounds to me, and I don't know. I mean, I barely understood the question and had to have Harrington reiterate it. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. I'm not sure. It could be for many, many reasons. I would suggest it's a mental thing, and that could be, because you're nervous. It could be because you're nervous and you don't quite believe in yourself. And maybe your opponents are intimidating you. I apologize if this isn't what you want to hear. But it's good to hear you are being aggressive in sparring, because you got to train the way you're going to fight. If you can't even get aggressive in the boxing room, in the sparring room, pardon me, then it's a non-starter. But you're being aggressive in sparring. You've got to carry that across. Sometimes it can take a while. If you haven't had many fights, sometimes it can take a while. For what you do in the training room to cross over to reality can be very hard. And as I say, it takes a while. So if you're already getting knocked out, I mean, you don't want to get knocked out too many times before you call it a day. But keep up with it. I mean, perhaps if you can afford it, or someone you can speak to, maybe a sports psychologist, or read a book or something like that. There's plenty of good books out there from sports psychologists. Perhaps you're a little too tentative. Perhaps you aren't pulling the trigger because, you're unsure of yourself. That's generally what it is. If you're struggling to attack your opponent with the aggression that you can in sparring, I don't know, maybe it's a mental thing.
Yeah, I mean, is there a way to teach somebody to pull the trigger? Is there a way to, have you seen somebody that was sort of timid and then learned how to be more aggressive? Or maybe that's not the approach. Maybe being aggressive always the best approach? Maybe he's a guy who is more, what do they say? Cerebral.
Methodical.
Right?
Yeah,
and
no, for sure. Sometimes being aggressive and being over-aggressive can be the worst thing for a fighter. That was a thing that I used to do. That was a mistake I made earlier on in my career, trying to be the aggressor, trying to get myself into this almost psychotic mindset, and to go out there and just be an animal. Against the also-rans in the world, against the average fighters, that was working out. But then when you get to the top of the food chain, that's not the right approach. You got to be cerebral. You got to be cool, calm, and collected. You got to be in the moment. You got to look at your opponent and almost be in a dreamlike state and just reacting to what you see. But it sounds like this guy isn't ready for that yet either, Lewis. But it sounds like a tough one, bud, because it's hard to answer, because obviously I don't know you. I don't know your circumstances, and I can't see an example of your fight. Maybe if we want to follow up this conversation, and this would be really ballsy of you, send in a video of one of your fights where you get knocked out, and we'll break it down in fine detail.
That's fun. We'll,
I don't.
That'll be a fun one. Just really fucking shit on this guy's hopes and dreams. Be like, all right, well, you lost before you even got in the cage. You can see it in your eyes. You're terrified.
Yeah, well, it could be fun. Also, it could be a very beneficial exercise, Lewis. I don't know if you know this, but I have quite the resume in contact sports. Perhaps I could hit on something that he hasn't yet realized, or one of his esteemed coaches never saw before. I'll see that secret sauce, that little something, the key to success, as it were, Lewis. I will see that. I have the eye of the tiger, and I will figure this out. We'll turn old Peppermill, or Pepperjoy, whatever the fuck his name is, we'll turn him into a world champion yet. Mark my words.
It's Little Pepper.
No,
Mini Pepper, sorry. Cool. Yeah, fine. You got it. And also Mini Pepper, if you decide to get into stand-up comedy, get into an open mic, take a video of it, send it over to me. I'll break down your open mic performance. Maybe this is a better path. You don't have to get that aggressive on stage.
Yeah, why is everyone trying to be a fighter? You know what I mean? There's many, many avenues of entertainment and ways of making money. If you're getting knocked out and it's early days in your career, probably not a good sign. That's all I'm saying. I'll say this.
Yeah, if you're getting knocked out a lot, you should probably just get into stand-up. That seems like a much more viable path.
It's easy. Everyone can do it. Here's what I'm saying. When I quit work to become a professional fighter, right, I was fighting my first fight. As I said before, I didn't get paid a penny, and I was fighting at some sports hall in the middle of nowhere. And I felt immense pressure. The reason I felt immense pressure was because if I couldn't win this fight against somebody that you've never heard of and will never be heard of in contact sports, if I can't win this, then I've made the wrong decision. I've made the wrong career path in life. If I've quit work with 2 kids, moved away to another city, and I'm going to be a fighter, and then I get beat off the wrong person, maybe it wasn't the right choice. I don't know your circumstances, Mini Pepper, so I apologize if this isn't what you want to hear. I wish you the best. And yeah, please, by all accounts, we won't make fun of you. Send it in and we can have a look. And if I see something, then we will deliver it with the respect that it deserves.
All right, let's wrap this one, Mike, because I got to get out of here, pick up my son in just a little bit. We'll do some more questions on the next show. Maybe we'll do a bunch of questions because we have a bunch that have been adding up. Let's do no promises about another episode this week. Let's just say that we will try to make another episode this week happen.
Thursday.
Mike,
I'm down for Thursday.
Stop.
Just saying it.
Stop. Let's not make any promises, and let's just, if it happens, it happens.
Okay, but I'm promising you Thursday night I could do one. Okay? I'm promising you that last night I could do one. I'm promising you that tomorrow night, guess what? I'm 9 hours ahead of California. In the evenings, doggy, I'm doing nothing. I'm sitting in my hotel room
playing Street
looking
Fighter.
at all the people that are trying to stab me out there and really trying to hold. I'm going to go find those motherfuckers one night. I'm looking at every person now that's coming up just begging. I'm like, was it fucking you? Was it you bastard, trying to stick a knife in me? I'm going to get arrested, okay, for beating up a poor little homeless child. But I was forced to do it from the traumatic experience that I went through that we discussed. And until the next show, that's it from me, Lewis.
Thank you, brother.
All right, guys.